Coming to you from the historic Hart Building in Marysville, California, in Studio 93, In the Tank with Fish, with your host, Bob Fischetti.
Well, I'm excited. We're back again. I really want to say this. I'm really thankful for everybody that watches these because I really feel like we're kind of like unfolding the people of our area in a really unique way. And, in the tank with Fish and Minnow, I know that Minnow has been relatively quiet. And I think that's...
Do you think maybe you know why?
I think that Minnow is trying to figure out where exactly, she's going to tag this. But we've just enjoyed it because we get to embark on a journey with people's lives who've been a journey and have made a difference in our community in unique ways, right? And our guest today is coming on for the second time.
I know.
And we don't often get this. So we really think that you're going to love this. It's going to be great fun. But I do want to mention again, if you subscribe, then you won't miss an episode of In the Tank with Fish and Minnow. 93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important. During times of emergency, they're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, it's a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep in your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important.
Welcome back to In the Tank with Fish and Minnow. And I don't know if you guys have noticed my new bling, but our special guest today won this for me, which is so amazing.
Yeah.
Brian Danielson is back on for the second time. Tell us how it went with your big Iron Man.
Do I just say how it went?
No.
Oh, okay, I was going to say. Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
No,
because I could talk for a long time.
Right, and go.
Yeah, I mean, we had an opportunity to talk with you. I don't know how far you were into your training, but you were beginning to talk about how in-depth that training was going to be by the time you actually ran the competition. There was a lot. It wasn't like, I'll go work out for a month and then I'm going to go run this thing. It was a lengthy endeavor for you to do. So we got to do that. So now we want to hear how that worked out, but also what it was like after all of that to actually get to do this competition.
Yeah, so like the training program I was on was the competitive program out of the Be Iron Fit book, and it ramped up from like 9 hours a week. I started 6 months out, and it peaked at 20 hours a week of cardio. And that, I tell you, that 20 hours a week of cardio is like a part-time job, trying to fit everything in with like your full-time job, your family, and just sleep. Sleep suffered a lot. It was horrible, and it's bad for your recovery too. It's just like it's you had to make it work though, and then vacations thrown into there too, like Hawaii. not having my bike, I was kind of like, it was like missing my binky. I just didn't have it. And so I had to make up for running and running a lot. And I tell you what, Hawaii looks beautiful, the big island. It's horrible to run in. It's Strava. I said, hey, take me on like an 18-mile run. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's dumb. But I'm like, yeah, it is. But Strava tried to kill me and took me out on some roads, and then it transitioned into lava rocks. Like lava field. It's like a path there. There's like vehicles drive on it sometimes. But like I was out in the middle of nowhere. There's big holes in the ground in the like lava tubes. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm at, and I'm in the middle of nowhere now. And I was in paradise, and now I'm not. Yeah,
your GPS emergency set when you fall into a lava tube.
Yeah, and I'm like, I found some petroglyphs out there. I mean, it was kind of cool, but I'm like, it's also scary because I'm like, I don't know what's in these holes that are down here. But
as long as it's not you.
Yeah. And I don't know how they would get to me. I don't know. I wouldn't even be able to explain where I'm at. That's how far out in no man's land I was. But
so. When you started, how long was your run? In initial training, what did you do?
So they go on that book. They go on time, time wise of running. So like 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Not distance. You're not going for distance. So you would go from 30 minutes, in throughout the week. You'd run 4 days a week, and then you'd swim and bike the other times, and you'd have one day off. Monday was my day off, but the longest runs I did was 3 hours.
Wow.
And that's the longest for the training plan. The longest on the bike was 6 hours.
Wow.
For training. And that was fun. I went up to Princeton on that one.
Wow.
And then cut across 162. And so I went through Calusa, up Princeton, up to Princeton, and then cut across. And then I had a horrible experience in the bathroom in Biggs, but my chain fell off. Okay, I'll explain this.
Do tell. You cannot just leave it at that.
I know triathletes have like issues with like bowels and stuff like that with all the carbohydrates they're ingesting and all that other stuff. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. My chain fell off. My chain was wore out on my bike, and about every 2,500 miles you're supposed to replace your chain, and I'd let that go a little bit longer than it should have.
I've owned a bike my whole life that I never changed a chain.
Yeah.
You probably also haven't gone that many miles.
I don't even know where the bike is.
See?
Yeah, so the chain, anytime I back up with that bike, with the loose chain, it would come off, and it just got jammed in there. And so I need to use the bathroom anyway, so I took it in the bathroom, and I was trying to fix it in there after I used the bathroom, and then I was trying to fix it. I couldn't pull out my multi-tool, and I set it up on the towel dispenser, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to take this outside and turn it upside down, so I'm not putting my bike seat on the dirty ground in the bathroom. So I took it outside, and the door shut behind me, and it was locked. So I lost my multi-tool to fix my bike, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. At least everything else was out of there, like my phone, like the important thing in case I needed to call my wife to come pick me up. And she was actually getting concerned because she tracks me on my rides and my runs and stuff like that. So she saw that I was stationary for like 15, 20 minutes, and she actually texted me and said, are you okay? Well, yeah, I'm just having issues with the bathroom. It's just like, kind of leave it at that. But I'll
explain this later.
I've lost 2 multi-tools out of this whole training incident, and one's in the bathroom up there. So whoever found it, you're welcome. And then I lost another one over by the 7-Eleven on Bridge Street. Or Butte House. I didn't realize it came out of my bike, out of the pouch it was in, and until it was gone. I went back and looked for it, and it wasn't there, but.
I'm surprised you didn't get sponsorship for multi-tools from this.
Yeah.
Some company that makes those.
This guy keeps buying them. This guy must love them. No, I lose them.
We're going to beta test the new multi-tool. We're going to use Brian Danielson.
Yeah. So I'm not breaking them. I'm just losing them. It's a great tool. Just can't keep them.
Yeah.
So you did.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to ask, so the riding you did by hour. But during the actual Ironman competition, it is by miles.
Yeah, by miles.
But there is a time factor.
Yeah.
So you do the 3 events, but you have to be finished by a certain time. Is that how, in the end, they grade where you're going to be?
Yeah. So overall, they give you 17 hours from start to finish, from the start of the swim. When you start, not the first person in, but when you start, they give you 17 hours from that time to finish the marathon. So, There's some intermediate cutoffs that are in there. Like for the swimming, it's like 2 hours and some change, like 2 hours and 30 minutes or something. I'm not precise, so don't hold me to that. And then a bike is like 9 hours and some change, or maybe 10 hours. I can't remember. But, and then everything after that, if you don't finish those intermediate cutoffs, they'll just pull you off the course. And it's kind of disappointing for a lot of people who do get pulled off the course because they put the time and effort into it. And, but you know, hopefully they go back and train harder and correct their weak spots. My weak spot was swimming. I was terrified of that, honestly.
And that was the first thing.
That was the first thing, and actually ended up being my best.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was,
maybe you should have been terrified of the whole thing.
Yeah. So it was an interesting check-in process. It was a great Ironman in Sacramento was run really well. It was a great place for it. The check-ins over at Sutter Health Park. They have athlete briefings. They go over all the rules and stuff that everybody breaks on the course, but at least you know you're breaking the rules. So they told you about it before, especially drafting on the bike. But it's one of those things. But great time. Checked in the bikes. You know, got our stickers. Put everything where they were supposed to be, and then you know I went home and got my wife, and we stayed at the Embassy Suites, which is right by the Tower Bridge, which is convenient for them to watch. Mm-hmm. But then the next morning was early. So
what time? If it's 17 hours, what was your start time? At 5 in the morning? I mean, their
goal was 7 o'clock when the sun comes up. And then there were some clouds that were still in the horizon that were blocking the sun during sunrise. So they pushed it back to 7:10 to get a little bit more light out there for safety. But we were all out there in our black wetsuits, just kind of standing there like sardines, just kind of standing there in the line. And
do they have you guys all go in one fell swoop, or is it go in waves?
So we seed ourselves, self-seed based on your normal 2.4 mile swim time, your estimated finish time in open water, like not with the current. They want you to start, you know, so I pushed back to the hour and 20 minute, hour and 30 minute group, which is like the third group back. And so we ended up waiting till 7:10 in the morning to start, and then it was 5 in the water every 5 seconds. So 5 people lined up, and then they had buzzer, and to kind of spread people out, so we're not all fighting each other.
So what? I mean, I know there's different swimming, you know, backstroke, side stroke, Australian crawl. There's all the different ones, right? Do they care what you do, or do they just want you to? Right. In other words, you got so much time to swim so far, and so whatever you decide, if you can do the whole thing in a breaststroke, they don't care. Yeah,
it's mostly front crawl.
Yeah,
it's mostly that. It's pretty efficient. Breaststroke is for the weird people that are out there. It still happens. Very rare you see it. Some people, they can't do front crawl for some reason, and it's breaststroke is their preferred. But it's like very small percentage of people out there. Most everybody's front crawl
comparatively.
Yeah, but the swim start was fun.
But you weren't doggy paddling through it. You made it.
At the very beginning, I was. It was 64.9 degrees in the American River when we got in.
I bet it was cold.
And it's kind of a shock to the system.
Yeah.
Once you hit the water, there was no getting in the water before. This is the way that the course is set up. The start area is set up. So there was no, getting used to the water. It's just you go in and, honestly, I kind of thought it was like, landing on your landing craft in World War II and having it sunk before you get there to the shore. And, you and your squad or you're swimming in the water now with all your gear. And, you got the camera it's going up and down above water and below water. And people are thrashing below the water, fighting for their life. And then you go above water and people are thrashing for their life. And it's what it was because it was so cold. I saw 2 guys that were right in front of me. They just started grabbing the safety rafts that are anchored there. And they were, I don't know if they were tapping out, but they were definitely struggling in the first 150 feet of this. We didn't even hit the first turn buoy in the middle of the river, the American River. And it was cold. And I realized once they started doing that, I'm like, well, if they're doing that, I'm like, it's freaking cold. I might as well do that too. And I sat there and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm just going to keep going. I'll probably get used to it. I was one of the only idiots, by the way, that had a sleeveless wetsuit. And everybody else had full wetsuits because apparently they got the memo and I didn't. There's probably maybe 50 of us that had sleeveless wetsuits out of the 2,600 people that were starting.
Oh my gosh, 2,600.
Yeah. And, but anyway, I kept swimming, and I kind of got used to the water after about 300, 400 yards. And then I just kind of hit my rhythm and just started going, and, you know, couple bump ins every once in a while with other people. No fish or sharks or anything. So somebody did say they had a sea otter go under them in the Sacramento river, and that kind of scared them. But sea otter was just playing with them.
So when you get done with the swimming, right? So is there a break between that and the biking? I'm assuming
you can take one.
Something you do. Are they really telling you, well, you can break as long as you want, but you still got to finish in 17 hours?
You could do whatever you want in that 17 hours.
Wow.
Like you get off, right at the Ziggurat building, the DGS building, there's where the pier is. You get out, and it's about a quarter mile, maybe a little longer route. Just you got to run or walk. But you know, most people are just getting their wetsuits stripped off, and then, which is a total lie, by the way. They said they had wetsuit strippers there. And I get up there, I'm like, this is not what I was thinking. They're taking my wetsuit off. I'm like, oh, that's not, I was thinking something totally different. Anyway. Then we're running. Then we're running barefoot to the where the bikes are, and then the transition zone. Most people were running or jogging, and then and most everybody they're not taking breaks.
How did they get your gear there, Brian? I mean, was your gear already where the bike was? I mean, you had your bike there and your gear, so when you got there, you put on the biking gear. And
so the bike is there. We had to check it in the day before. And then the day of is when you drop off your transition bag. So you have a run bag and a bike bag. And then your bike stuff's obviously in your bike bag, and your run bag stuff is there. So your bike bag, you had to run into the transition zone, and you had to find it, and it was hanging on the fence, and then you grab it, and then you go over to your bike, and then or you can go into the tent and change, but you know, I'm already, still wearing a tri-suit, so no changing needed. I just needed to put in dry off and put on socks, and then put on my shoes and helmet and sunglasses and go.
You said a tri-suit. What's a tri-suit?
It's a really expensive piece of fabric that they sell.
Is it like a leotard?
It is. Yeah. It's like the bicycle, the bicycle kits and stuff people wear, but it's like one piece.
It's a onesie.
A onesie. Is that under your wetsuit?
Yeah, you wear it under your wetsuit.
And then do you wear that all day?
Yeah.
You don't worry about it getting wet or
no,
rubbing?
it actually dries really quickly. Like when I got out of the Sacramento River, the Sacramento dropped 5 degrees from the American River, so it was 60 degrees. And that's like punching you in the chest. Like when you hit the Sacramento, you're like, oh, I'm in the Sacramento River now. Like this is horrible. And but I was figuring I was gonna be cold getting out of there. I didn't even feel it. Once I got the wetsuit off, it felt great. And usually when you're wet, when you get on the bike and start biking, it's really cold because you're doing 20 miles an hour and you got wind chill now and you're wet, and it's still pretty early in the morning. But it was dry.
What was the temperature outdoors like?
60 something, 64.
Oh, it was still cool.
Still low 60s, I think, is what it was by the time we got out of the water. Maybe upper 50s. I don't remember. It was a blur, honestly.
Yeah. You just had to keep moving.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what was that? Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Yeah. That's what it was. And a lot of people did. And I saw one guy, I think, tap out. I think he was done. I came across him in the Sacramento River right at the Iron Bridge, which is about 200, maybe 200, 150, 200 yards from the finish. And he was struggling really bad. And I actually stopped him. I say, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Nope, I'm not good at all." And so I, waved for one of the kayakers to come over, the safety kayakers. They came over, got him. And you're allowed to hold on to the kayaks as long as no forward progress is done. But I have no idea. I mean, we were so close. I'm like, I just kept going. I mean, it's his race. If he's done, he's done. And I'm not going to sit there and encourage somebody. I have no idea what his swimming ability is to continue on because, people have actually died in the Ironmans. So, especially in the swimming part. So, if he's not comfortable, then, it's his race.
That's pretty interesting because you not only have a change in the event, but literally everything, because you really are running for you. Mm-hmm. Although they call it a race, you're racing against your own time. You know what I mean? You're not really racing against everybody else. I mean,
there are some spots for the world championships that are out there for age groups, and that's for the upper end of the age group, the top tier competitors. Because I think that in my age group they offered, I think 8 spots the world championship.
Wow.
But I didn't come anywhere close to that. I finished like 100 something in my age group. I was fine with that.
Yeah, I'm thinking after all that,
Finishing would be fine.
Yeah, for me it'd be like, I finished. Okay, I'm good.
Still alive. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been done in the swimming. It sounds like.
You would have gotten your toe wet and been like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, that's too cold. I need a scone.
Yeah. So
that's something like eating or drinking during the course. 17 hours. You got to get carbs in there somehow. How do they do that?
So before the swimming, I was in the hotel and I grabbed muffin and bananas, which I hate now, but bananas and a couple other just random stuff, and I ate that for breakfast. It wasn't anything major. The couple days prior to that was a lot of carbs, a lot of spaghetti, a lot of pasta and stuff. Try to get the body, get carbs into the body. But the day of, it's like once you eat breakfast, that's it. You're not really eating much anything of substance after that. And some people do. Some people they like Uncrustables and bananas and all this other stuff. They have bananas at the aid stations.
Oh, so you can.
And they have all the energy, like the carb, like the gels and stuff.
The goo gels.
Yeah, the goos. And it wasn't goo. It was a different company this year, but. And it was decent, but you just grab them as you go, and there's 100 carbs pretty much per packet, and you kind of know based on your training how many carbs you need per hour, and so you just have a whole bunch of those gel packs, and bananas and horrible bananas now that I'm traumatized by those things, but and then they had electrolyte drinks and then water available, and they ended up on the run they actually had. Chicken broth, hot chicken broth.
Oh,
for you. Yeah, it sounds horrible. Just drinking hot chicken broth. It was actually really good.
Yeah,
at that point. Yeah,
yeah. I love that stuff. I mean, honestly, I could get that chicken stock.
He's gonna run it just for chicken broth.
Yeah,
heat that up. I don't need anything else in it. It'd be like a cup of tea. So, what about water? Do you always have water available? Because you got to be. Yeah, your system's got to be pouring it up.
You're bringing in the electrolyte drinks or water. You have to maintain that. I mean, I started cramping actually pretty bad on mile 70 or so of the bike ride.
And how long is the bike?
112 miles. Yeah. And it took me 6 hours and 28 minutes. A little longer than I expected, but with cramping in my quads, it kind of sucked. And I backed off a little bit. The return leg on the second, we called it the third leg, and we all hated it because the wind picked up and it was straight in our face for the 28 miles on that outbound leg, and it really, a lot of people's speed suffered a lot. Like I looked down at my watch and I'm like, what, 12.8 miles an hour, and I'm like putting out some effort, and that's kind of I sped it up a little bit, and that's kind of part of the reason why I started cramping is because I started trying to work past the wind that was in our face instead of just going with the flow. So I kind of overexerted myself there, and it kind of suffered throughout the rest of the race. But I almost quit on the bike. Really? Cramping. I got off 3 times just to try to walk it out, and I thought I was going to be done because like every time I'd clip back in, I would cramp back up instantly. So it's standing up and pedaling, and then sitting back down and just gearing down and just pedaling lighter. And I knew once I turned around that the wind would be at my back. So I was looking really forward to that, but that turnaround point was getting longer and longer away every time I thought, because you got to remember, like the Ironman doesn't allow headphones, they don't allow amplified music, they don't allow two-way communication. So your phone is out, you can't have earbuds, you can't have music, and it's all for safety, whatever that is. But safety stuff, come on. But riding out there with just nothing other than nature and then the sounds of other people's bikes that are like not maintained well. Like you could hear the creaking and the everything going on. And
the 3 guys singing in harmony.
Yeah. No, but it's more of like just for 6.5 hours of just you pedaling.
Wow.
There's nothing else other than nature out there for the most part. There's some spectator areas where the slough that we draw. I forgot the name of the road, but there's a couple wineries there, and there's a bunch of spectators that are there. But like other than that, there's nobody really out there other than the start and finish line.
Wow.
So you're not seeing much other than they advertise it as a nice farmland winery. Drive through Central Valley's wineries and stuff like that. It's like there's two.
Was that the most challenging part for you? Was that whole like mentally overcoming the silence and being out there on your own without distractions?
Yeah, it was a lot of mental stuff there because, like I said in the beginning, with the water, the cold temperature, and everybody looked like they were tapping out. I almost quit there. Had to realize that my family's going to be waiting there. Once I get out of the water, they're getting up early. B, they're here, and then C, they've seen me go through all the training, and if I quit at that point, then they wouldn't believe me any other time, and my kids would be disappointed in me. My wife would be disappointed in me. I would be disappointed in me. I'd be disappointed in my dog. I don't know why, but
we'd been disappointed.
Yeah, you would not be coming back on.
I wouldn't have come back on. No, no, but that was mental because it was cold. Yeah. It was a shock to your system. But once you overcame that, it was fine. And then the cramping issue, and there was 3 times I got off the bike at the aid stations. The last 3 aid stations I stopped at, I didn't use the bathroom. I just walked around the porta potties that were there just to try to work it off, and ate a couple more horrible bananas to try to get more potassium in me because it's magnesium, potassium imbalance and sodium imbalance that will cause cramping. But trying to do something to get more potassium in, at least at that point, it just it's kind of more mental. But I'm like, you know what? I'm 28 miles from the finish, and I got the wind in my back, so I'm going to continue on. And so I did. And then I got back, and then trying to bend down and change your shoes. Oh, that was an epic challenge right there. Trying to put my running shoes on, and I don't know why I bought such expensive running shoes because I didn't really run the whole time. It was more like a run walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still at 26.2 miles after you bike, right?
Full marathon after that. So the first mile was great. I was doing great. Kind of like right there at the transition zone, there's a chain link fence that goes along the bike path that goes along the river that you run on. So you run out of that, and my family was screaming at me. My stepdaughter had the really cool, obnoxious cowbell, and she was couldn't not hear my family. And my wife wanted to kiss through the fence, and it was kind of like on the other side of the border wall, you're kissing your significant other, like I'm incarcerated, and just sneaking a kiss to her. And it was kind of funny. But then I went on that run. That first mile was great. And then I started cramping again. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just walk. But the key about the run walk part of this is if you got spectators there and you know where they're at, you better be running during that spectator part where you're running by them. When you're not anywhere close, you could walk. It's fine. Yeah. It's totally fine.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. So that's what I started doing, was running when I knew my family was going to be there. And also my coworker that ran with me, I kind of knew where she was at in relation on the run. So I would run when I knew I was going to be crossing paths with her.
Oh. Yeah.
So we ran by each other all the time. And then I walked after she was out of sight. And, it's just the things you do on the race. To survive.
Keep up appearances.
Yeah. But they also tracked me, and they're like, pretty sure he's walking. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's walking.
He's moving slower than
Then
turtle pace.
There was one point I ran by on the Tower Bridge. They were all hooting, hollering, and screaming for me, and they made signs and stuff for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I ran by, and then made my turn to Old Sacramento, and it was out of sight, so I started walking. And then all of a sudden, my daughter's running up alongside of me next to the train tracks and the ballast. And she's like, "Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad." I'm like, "Oh, no, Mike. Hey, we're going to keep this between you and me that I was walking, okay?" Yeah. It's like, no. She's like, "Oh, it's okay." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Well, I think that Brian, for them, it's like that they're just, I just want them to finish. Right. Yeah. This is a huge undertaking, and, I want them to finish. So I'm sure your perspective of, I want to be running all the time, wasn't necessarily theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my goal was originally 12 hours for the whole thing. I told people, 12 hours for everything. if everything goes good, it'll be 12 hours. If everything goes better, it'll be less than 12 hours. If things just fall off the rails and derail, it'll be more than 12 hours.
Yeah.
And it was more than 12 hours. So it just happened that way, and that you can't predict.
But it was under the 17, obviously.
Yeah. I finished in 13 hours, 19 minutes.
Oh, man.
So it's still good. My goal was originally just to finish before the sun went down, but it was pretty dark at a point. So I kind of was sad about that, but they handed out headlamps for Discovery Park, so you didn't A, twist your ankle, or B, get eaten by homeless. So, and if you did, you knew they were there. I mean, it's not like it was a surprise. Yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, it was awesome course, really easy to follow course, and they did a great job, like as they always do. And the weather was actually reasonably good this year. There's been the last 2 years prior to this one had been pretty horrific for weather-wise. But the first year it got canceled because the bomb cyclone came through, and it's just not safe. But last year it dumped like rain, like on the bike portion, like dumped rain, and then on the marathon part it was dumping rain. Like it was just like nobody liked them. And then the year before that was just really bad winds, like high winds, like worse than this, because our winds on that leg that I was complaining about was 20 to 25 mile an hour headwind that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I could see that. I actually competed when I was in the military, and it was the obstacle course and a run and what have you. And I was on the last part on the run, and I was the oldest guy in my group. At that time, I was 27, I think, which for the military, 27, you're getting old, right?
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to touch you. And I was on the last part, the run. It was in tank track, and you're in boots. You're not in, right? And both legs cramped up. And so, it hurts. I mean, I don't care what anybody thinks about cramps. You don't just shake it off, right? So, man, I fell down, right? They're running around me. Come on, old man, right? That's all. They can't touch you, but they can call you names, which they invented stuff, I think. Mm-hmm. But I got up, and I just wanted to finish, right? And so that was the whole thing. So I didn't run to the finish line. I basically drugged my legs, moaning the whole time, right, trying to get them to loosen up. But it's like I can see where the finishing, my point is, the finishing becomes more important than whatever condition you're in on the course.
Yeah.
So like you said, during the swim, right, you were thinking, just tap out here. Mm-hmm. We're done, right? And then you think, okay, how's everybody going to think, right? And what about, my personal goal as well. When you finally got down, when you got done swimming and you went to the biking, there had to be a certain amount of release saying, I'm 1/3 of the way.
That's no.
No?
Because they start with the shortest.
This is you're a fraction in at that point, distance wise. But I mean, time wise. I mean, I smoked this swim. Honestly, it was 57 minutes, and it was the worst event that I thought going into it. I thought I was going to have this struggle with that one, but like you still have all those extra hours to go, so that's still another 12 hours and some change for me.
Oh.
Yeah, so left. So yeah, it's just I didn't even think. I'm happy that's done, at least the swim, and then after that the bike. It's kind of weird also because I wasn't thinking much when I was out there. It was kind of like I was more like on autopilot, and it was like a surreal day. Like it was just nothing really like it didn't feel like it was 13 hours. It didn't feel like it was an hour swim. It didn't feel like it was a 6.5 hour bike ride. It didn't feel like it was 5 hours and 36 minutes on the run. It didn't feel like that.
14 seconds.
Did I say that? Hey, but it didn't feel that way because everybody else is out there. They're all going through the same stuff we are, or I am. And I'm understanding that a lot of people walk on this. I'm like, okay, it's not just me.
It's okay.
There's a guy who finished in like 8 hours.
What?
He's nuts, but
he's not human.
He's obviously better than me, like a lot, and then everybody else. I mean, it is what it is. He's obviously trains in this all the time, and then I think the female was 9 hours, and top female was 9 hours and some minutes. I did see them they were finishing up their second leg of the marathon as I was going out in Old Sacramento. There they're followed by bike riders, and they have the first female, like a sign on the bike that says first female, and then the second female and third female. So they're followed the top three. So it's kind of cool that I'm like, oh wow, they're way better than me. It's like more power to them, and just keep mowing on with
How did the gal that ran with you? How did she do?
Jessica, she finished. I think it was 40 minutes behind me. She was 13 hours 50 something minutes, 57, I think. Her goal was 14 hours. So she was right there in her goal zone.
Close, yeah.
I was nowhere near mine. So
yeah. You were an hour off, right?
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, I think
Yeah,
an hour tacked onto already a 12-hour day.
Yeah. No, it was what it was, and all I could do is learn from it for next time.
Oh, I was going to ask, is there a next time? Did your wife agree to this next time?
No, she hasn't. Oh, wait, actually, is my wife going to see this?
Yeah, so here we go. You just made an announcement.
I didn't. I'm not doing anything. I'm not spending any more money. Probably going to spend more money.
So what did you learn, like, as far as training and not announcing things before you tell your wife?
He's a better swimmer than he is.
No, but like, are you going to want to upgrade your bike this time?
No.
Oh, okay. No.
So we don't talk about that stuff if my wife's going to see it.
Yeah.
Because I spent $50 on this entire training.
Oh, yeah.
$50. Not 10,000.
No, that seems really reasonable.
Not 10,000. Oh, did I say 10,000? Yeah. About $10,000.
No.
No, I'm not going to upgrade my bike.
You have the bike's expensive. Those are not cheap bikes.
No.
And then just all the other things, like you were talking about, just the entry fee alone was, what would you say, 800 and something bucks?
$850 was. Yeah. I just wrote that off, and I got a bunch of free stuff. I got a shirt, I got a medal, I got a hat, I paid for the mug. I did get a free. I got a free backpack out of it. The $850 entry fee.
Shirt.
Yeah. I got. Yeah.
You got lots of leg cramps.
Yeah. So yeah.
When you look back at it in terms of training, though, how you feel physically is so far beyond when you started, right? Your physical just strength and being who you are. But what do you have to do to come down off that? Like, after you get done running that thing, what do you do? I mean, you stay in bed for 3 days? I mean, that's a lot.
I was back running within a week. And swimming, and swimming's low impact. So yeah, I started doing that. Took about 3 days off afterwards, not doing anything.
Okay.
No bananas.
No bananas, or bananas are not allowed.
What are you going to eat if you train again this time?
Not bananas. Not anything other than bananas.
Anything that has potassium. I'll take pills.
Yeah, but I mean, back to running, and I ran. Actually, I set my personal best in my 10K this morning. I'm still running. I almost broke into this upper 7 minutes per mile, almost,
Wow.
Down in the 49 minutes for a 10K, which is not bad for an old guy. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Not quite where I want to be if I want to join the CHP Elite team for the Baker to Vegas run. That's
wow.
10K is a 10K pace is to get on that team is 39 minutes, which is 6 minutes and some change, below 6 minutes per mile. That's not me.
Who is running?
Cyborgs.
Yeah. I was going to say.
You look at them, they're like, no, that's not a human.
They all look like Arnold from Terminator.
They're all young, yeah.
No, skinny versions of them. Yeah, skinny versions of Arnold. Yeah, they're not big guys. They're fast though.
They're built for speed.
Yeah. Maybe half Ironman in Coeur d'Alene. I'm trying to convince the wife to actually do it with me too.
Oh, that would be
cool. That would be cool, because then all that training time you get together.
Yeah.
Because that probably is a huge factor in your decision making, is the time away from family to train. And that's the challenge, is you can't give up training time. You just can't. No. You suffer when you actually do the race if you're giving up that time. So
if I went to the American River Bike Trail or the path or whatever they call it, I call it bike trail, but if that's an hour there to the fish hatchery and an hour back, plus my long rides would be, 4.5, 5.5 hours, 6 hours. So that's a whole day. You're giving away on your day off, away from your family. So it'd be nice to bring her, and then especially biking, be with her, and at least both be moving to the same goal at the same time, she's probably going to say no. But she's terrified of she doesn't like. I'm sorry, she's not terrified. She just doesn't like the water. So trying to convince her to swim is a whole different ballgame. She could bike and run.
Yeah.
It's just that third aspect of it.
But you get it over with right in the beginning.
Yeah.
She'll be fine.
And
Tell her you'll put a pool in.
No fish. No.
You heard it here. You will put a pool in.
No.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
That was an
He
accident.
could edit this out, right? Yeah.
Kurt, we're going to need you to
Kurt,
cut
cut that out. Cut that out of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think about the things that are so physical like that, right? But you do, when you're done, there is a personal side of, I achieved that. Like I was talking about when I competed, I achieved that. That was done. I did that. But this, it sounds like for you, you're not just looking at, hey, I'll just do this one time. The achievement is to better my own time. And that's the part I meant about it is a personal thing. Mm-hmm. There's a side of this that's very personal.
Yeah. I don't know if I did that. It's kind of weird. Crossing the finish line was cool. Mm-hmm. I ran into the finish line.
Did you?
Yeah, you did.
I also, funny story, about like half a mile before, because you run past the state capitol at this point, and like I'm in this group of people. I'm like, this guy in front of me is ugly. No offense to the guy. I don't want him to be in my finisher video or my finisher photos of down the chute. So I actually picked up the pace and I ran a little bit faster. I'm so sorry, but like, I didn't. No offense. I didn't want him to be in the pictures. So yeah. And so anyway, I ran in and finished and made it look like I was a hero. And then it just didn't really hit for a while that I guess I am an Ironman. It's like, I think all the training I put into it was way harder than the actual day. Honestly. So
I can see that.
And it's just kind of weird. It just kind of hasn't hit me yet. Not many people do the Ironman, the full Ironmans. So it's like, but I've done it. I'm like, it just hasn't hit me yet. Maybe when I do Chattanooga full Ironman in Tennessee.
You didn't put your bumper sticker on yet? Because I think that's when it hits you, is when you put the bumper sticker on.
No, this is the first day I've worn the shirt after the Ironman. I wore it for this. I wore the hat once at my son's cross country match. It was the weekend after. I got some people talking to me. There was actually one of the guys that was there, one of the coaches for one of the cross country teams. There was a safety kayaker at the event. So I was like, he's like, "Oh, did you compete?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I did. I have a hat." Duh.
Yeah, it's not stolen valor.
But at least somebody asked me, and that's the whole point about me wearing it. So I wasn't going to bring it up, but somebody.
But if you ask me,
absolutely, I'm going to talk to you forever now. Yeah.
So you had talked last time we had you on about the possibility of your son joining you sometime.
Oh yeah.
You know what? My son, he did say that he wants to do it now, like the Ironman. But he's really good in cross country right now. Like he's smoking sometimes. It's subsections down in Frogtown. He got 18th with a 17:06 time for the 5K. And he's fast, and he's not too far off of the leader, and so he's only a junior, so he's still got some more room to grow as cross in the cross country world and scholarships and other things, and introducing triathlon stuff into that is, let him get through college. If he gets a scholarship for college, let him do that. And then when he's in his mid-20s after his college, then he could absolutely I'll do it with him, but yeah, we would like to get him through that first.
Yeah. Let him focus on that.
Yeah. Still need to take him to Disneyland to do the Goofy challenge and all that stuff.
You guys were going to do that.
The dopey. Actually, it's a dopey one. There's lots of running.
But now you're so good at running.
I wouldn't say good.
You're so mediocre at run walking now that you could do this.
No, I did say I was.
They don't have a 20-mile swim.
I did say I was going to do the California International Marathon, but when I went to go sign up, it was already sold out. So,
were you like, "Oh no, they sold out"?
No, darn! No, it might be a 31-mile trail run now in Auburn in May.
We're going to interview him after he swims the English Channel.
Yeah,
no, I'm not going to do that. It's too cold there.
Yeah, it's way too cold. He's going to need sleeves on his wetsuit for that one.
Yeah. They literally in that one, somebody is right next to you the whole time. right? They don't just have you just go, okay, let us know how you do.
Yeah, see you in France.
Shoot this flare up
See you
your
in
desk.
France. We'll be on the other side. Yeah. Yeah. What would you say, really, with having done this, with the training and everything? You said actually that the training ended up being harder than the actual event. So, but really, I almost don't want to say it because it's like I'm going to ask, what was your favorite part? It almost sounds like, well, it wasn't when I got cramps. It wasn't the cold water. But really, when you look at this whole experience, if all of a sudden one day you decide, I'm going to go run the Ironman. And when we first talked to you about it, you talked about, man, you had weight loss and then I've seen you since then, and you've talked about the training and how you've amped it up in the different places. But really, when you look back, what really for you went, that I really like that?
It was the spectators. Everybody else that was there, other than, obviously my family was there, but like the other people that were there too, they had these guys there that were dancing the whole time, like, and playing loud music right by the CalSTRS building. And they were a great time. Some of the signs were pretty dumb, were kind of comical. Like, remember you paid for this? Like, you paid for this with a question mark, it's like,
there is no reason.
Was your wife holding that sign?
No. She doesn't know how much I paid for it. Paid $50. But the spectators were awesome. One guy's like, hey, keep it up, 25.49. I'm like, oh, look at that. You know my name. And it's like, I'm like, I didn't even know. I didn't even recognize you. Sorry, buddy. I just kind of run by, and it was a great time. But the fans, the spectators kind of made it. There's other people that are there. They're rooting for everybody, kind of, and there's other people that are there waiting for their family to come by. So you might as well have fun with it. Yeah, old Sacramento, we're running through the cobblestone area, and I was talking to a guy, and I'm like, hey, I saw you on the Tower Bridge when you were walking over, didn't I? He's like, yeah, that was you. I'm like, yeah, we were talking a little bit, and one of the spectators said, you guys shouldn't be talking. You're competing against each other. I'm like, hey, wait, how old are you? He's like 35. I'm like, nope, we're in a different age group. We're not competing at all. Continue. It was a good time. So I met a lot of good people on the run, on the run portion at least. That's when you could talk at least more. The bike is just more like, you can't really be that close to each other. But the run, we were just talking to quite a few people from all over the place. And there's some cool people that run these things.
So how many finishers? How many started and how many finished?
I think there's like 2,600 people that started about, and then 220 something did not finish.
Wow.
I think it was sold out. So I think sold out is 3,000. And just there's a certain amount of people that just don't show up. Either travel issues or they're deferring to another race late, or they're just not showing up because they're not ready. Or whatever the reasons are. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So,
well, you can't possibly be disappointed after all the training even though you had a mark, I want to finish in this amount of time. The fact that you finished even that close to that time, because I'm sure when you were done, there were still people behind you.
I can't remember what time of the day I finished. Honestly, I just don't remember. But I think the last finishers were just before 1 a.m.
Wow.
I was there well before 1 a.m. I think I was like 8 p.m., 8 something or 9 p.m. somewhere around there, because I know the kids had to go home for school. Yeah, so there's still quite a few people behind me. I think I finished mid-pack.
That's got to feel good.
Yeah.
Your first time out.
It was my first time ever doing a triathlon on top of all that stuff. So I went with the big one first, and then putting it that way, I am very pleased with the way I finished and where I finished. So,
well, Kelly wants you to know how much she appreciates you doing this, and the reward is banana scones.
Yo, that's neat. That's neat. Well,
so mean.
Well, I'm going to make her sign up for the next one then. For the banana scones.
I came off marathon training at one point and was like, if I never see another banana again. And I actually, the next marathon, I switched to those tabs instead because I just could not do it.
Yeah, bananas are terrible things. They're terrible inventions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even after like the 18th gel, After a while, I was like, done with that too.
Frosting, you're just done.
Yeah.
It'd be different if you were just running a marathon.
Yeah, and so,
but you've got there. Yeah.
My goal is I'm trying to go back to Virginia next year, November, for the Marine Corps Marathon.
Oh.
That's going to be my first marathon, solo marathon. Like, just that's it, like nothing else done. And I'll see what my time is there. Hopefully, it'll be a lot better.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not having had to bike and swim.
Yeah, I actually started cramping up on the swim too. It was probably the cold water, but
yeah.
And somebody actually bumped into me from behind. Two guys actually converged on me, hit me, one on the left leg and the other guy on the right leg. And he, for some reason, in his stroke, he actually grabbed my leg and pulled on it. And so I kind of kicked him a little bit, but like that little pulling like made my leg cramp up a little bit. So I just said, I'll just go no legs. Yeah. And that's my training in the pool, with a pool boy. You put that between your legs and that makes you not use your legs. It's just your upper body. So I just started doing that instead and it worked out pretty well. And other than that, I mean, not as much combat as I thought was going to be in the water. Thought it was going to be a lot more melees, but the way they spaced everybody out in the swim start was actually pretty good. It spaced people out.
Has it brought about any kind of love for swimming or running or things you didn't like so much before?
I still swim.
Yeah.
So I still go to the pool, and it's kind of cool not being on a training program, just getting in and doing your own thing. Like, what do I want to do today? Instead of being forced, I'm like, I hate this workout. Like, I don't want to do this one. And like, I know the next day in the pool is going to be just as bad too, because it's a pyramid workout. I'm like, I hate these things. And, but yeah, doing my own thing in the pool is really kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure once I start training again, maybe for a thing that my wife will agree for me to do, I'll start doing the training program again. And
are you going to go with the same one?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. And for the half marathon or for the half Ironman, it's going to be a lot easier time wise and investment wise. But if for some reason do race Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'll have to work up. And do the same thing again. 6 months out, working out again and doing all that, fitting all that planning in, and hopefully the wife will be there.
Did you experience cramping in any of your training time? I'm just wondering why.
No.
During the main event, were you like, I'm off on electrolytes? Was there anything you could pinpoint? Because that would drive me nuts for the next one. I would be like, I need to know what went wrong.
I have no idea. My training was great. And the only time I ever had issues was when it was 110 degrees out on the American River Bike Trail. And that's when I noticed nobody else was around. It started off with a couple people on the trail. I'm like, wow, it's really dead today. Anyways, I started at 90 degrees. And then after a while, I got up to 110. And I didn't realize people were not on the course because it's like hot. And that's when I stopped sweating. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Usually I sweat a lot.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sweating anymore. I'm like, this is not good. So I actually stopped. I was out of water and electrolytes. And so I stopped and refilled my water at one of those icky public things that dispense water. And I actually sat there and drank water, a whole thing of water. And then I filled it up again and I continued on my ride back and then started sweating again. I'm like, oh, whew. I'm happy by that. Yeah. That's the only time I experienced any issues training. And no cramping really. And so I don't know if it was just race day. I was just trying to push past, the wind that was the issue. Trying to, because like everybody's slow, but like I'm trying to. You see that person in front of you, you're like my goal is to pass them.
Yeah.
Everybody has this issue, and then you're trying to pass them and you can't, so you speed up and
wear
don't
yourself out in the process.
Yeah, I think I overcooked my legs is what I did. So, but hopefully there'll be no wind next year in Tennessee, Chattanooga. But
and I mean, with your wife by your side, you won't have to be passing anyone.
Yeah,
you'll just be content in her presence.
I'd be happy with that. Well, we just got to start in Coeur d'Alene first.
Before we get Brian in more trouble, you should probably close us out.
Yeah,
I don't think she's gonna watch this late into it. She's gonna be pretty mad at the very beginning. Once she finds out $10,000 is spent, so she'll tune out then. So
it's like I'm not. Yeah, we're not responsible for anything.
Is there a disclaimer? Did he sign the disclaimer that says?
Well, listen, I'm really grateful that you did this, and we got to be the part that we had. We should have found out, so we could have had a sign.
I know. I'm a little disappointed now.
Yeah.
When you run the next one, let us know.
Yeah.
You could have like a fish bowl for the swim.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
you know,
me a picture of me in a fish bowl. Yeah.
Well, I do think there are some things they call it, you know, it's a learning curve, lesson learned, teaching moment. And I think long sleeve gear is going to be in it for you for the swim next time, right? Instead of a short sleeve wetsuit, you'll be going with a long sleeve.
I honestly just didn't want to spend more money. I looked at, they said they were releasing a bunch of water from Folsom for some fish or something like that meeting, you know, whatever. Salmon, I think it was. The cold water comes out, so it dropped the river temperature 5-6 degrees. And I'm like, that was my thing. I'm like, about a week before, I'm like, I should probably buy another wetsuit. I'm like, no. I'm good because those are like $900 for the good ones.
So the regulations, though, are not that. I mean, do they say everybody has to have this brand of wetsuit, and then the same with bikes? Is it whatever bike you have? That's fine.
People have gone with mountain bikes before. Honestly, there's savages, but like most people are running road bikes or triathlon bikes. But there's certain rules for. It's in the athlete guide what you can and can't have on them. The wetsuits are certain thicknesses of neoprene, so it's like buoyancy. They can't be over a certain thickness. Are they checking all 2,700 people that are there? 2,600 people? No. Are they going to be checking the winner? Yes. Yeah. There are some banned shoes as well. Some outlawed shoes, and usually those deal with too many carbon plates in the sole, or they're too high of a stack height for the padding. The sole. But that's a list that they give you, and if you're running with those shoes and you get disqualified, that's totally on you.
Wow.
Even if you run like middle of the pack like me and finish in your age group, and somehow you get disqualified, you get a DQ instead of your time on the official results. So that's kind of why put yourself through all the training? To get disqualified. So I just play by the rules when I'm there. Try not to draft on the bike, which is a no-no. There's a penalty box type thing. And I'm like, this drafting thing's actually working pretty good. Yeah, because there's no course marshals way out here. So I'm like, I'm good.
I see them do that in those bike races.
Yeah.
Right? You know, they're constantly moving. You say, why are they moving? Because they're not allowed to just ride right directly behind the person in front of them, right?
Yeah. Well, the triathlon bikes, they got the aero bars that you're down, and you don't have the brakes there on the aero bars.
Right.
So that's they want distance between you and the bike in front of you, just in case there's something that happens. There was pretty bad wreck on the bike portion. Girl actually split her helmet open. Like, it was pretty bad impact. I mean, that was a secondary crash. Somebody fell in front of her, and then she braked too hard and then went over her handlebars at speed. So it's like, yeah, there's a reason why you're not supposed to be following that close. And it probably she probably got up off of her aero bars and then braked too late and just squeezed the brakes really hard and went over. But, it is what it is. Making this kind of depressing, huh?
Yeah. I was excited up to that point.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, don't come back, Brian. Never again.
It's been fun.
Well, we're going to have to get out of here. This ran. So listen, man, we're grateful, honestly, that we got to share in this. It's really kind of cool because when you first started doing it, we're like, he's really going to do this. But I have to crack up when you told the gal that worked with you something about going. I don't know if the story was she first told you just go do it.
Yeah, it was go do it. Yeah,
yeah, and then she ends up doing it. Right?
Yeah, and I don't even know how I convinced her to do it. Like it was 5 months before Ironman, this race. Yeah, wow. I have no idea. She just wanted to do a full. She said, "Hey, I want to do a full," and I said, "Well, why don't you just sign up for the same one I'm doing? I mean, you're already in pretty decent shape." She's like, okay. And then like 3 minutes later, she sent me like a screenshot of her signed up. I'm like, that's a lot of effort to actually sign up because you have to have a US triathlon number and stuff like that. So you have to have a separate account for that. And then you have to do this. And she probably already had that, but like still doing all the sign up paperwork. And then it's also $850. I'm like, she did that in like 3 minutes. I'm like, And then she asked
must
me.
not be married. Just
No,
kidding.
she's not. No. But then
Didn't have to ask
she also asked me, is this a half or a full? I'm like, you just paid $850. It's a full. She's like, and she said some bad words in that text message. I wasn't expecting. I'm like, well, you got some time to train.
You're in now.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So a half is literally half time of all three?
Half the distances, yeah.
Half distances, I mean, and then it's a time thing. Like this one's 17 hours, so that one's
whatever the half of that is. Yeah. I'm Marine, so I can't do the math. Yeah, so it's half.
8.5 hours.
All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming in, Brian. We really are going to catch up with you again with this because this is fun. And so the next time we're going to get and find out just exactly how he convinced his wife that this was a good idea.
And to run it with me, yeah.
And to run it with him.
Yeah, let us know how that goes.
Right?
Yeah, add an extra chair if that's the case.
It.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wait.
So we'll be doing it. Anyway, we're going to have to take a break here, but we'll be back in just a few minutes, the Minnow and I, and we'll talk about, we're getting close to Christmas. Could there be Cheeto bread in Brian's future, or will it be banana bread?
Banana bread, you're so mean.
93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep into your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important. Right, we're back, and man, I don't even know what to say. Brian Danielson, what an incredible story. I have to be honest, I was kind of shocked that he was like, oh, I want to do it more. I don't know, is it like an addiction, right? But
it is.
But yeah, they say you can get addicted to running in particular, but what a great story to go through all that training to finish, and then be very honest that there were a few times when he was thinking, I may not finish this.
Yeah.
And all the people that supported, what a great thing, people getting behind you and saying, hey, I want you to make it, right, And we need to be there next time with our signs.
I can't believe we didn't go.
You'd have a big sign, Cheeto bread at the finish line, right? It's like,
Fish is going to get Cheeto bread one way or the other.
So
you know what? Just... enter an Iron Man. I'll make you a little Cheeto bread.
That's
How's
what
that?
Iron Man.
That'll be your finisher medal in the shape of a medal will be Cheeto bread.
Oh.
Just for you.
Yeah, mine would be Tin Man, not Iron Man. It's like Tin Man.
He swam 4 feet.
Yeah.
Biked 1 mile and ran half a mile.
He went the mile, but he walked half of it. And it was like, Well, I know that when I had to just run the 2 miles for the military when I went back in, that was I found a training app you put on your phone, and it's walk run. Yeah. They don't suggest you just get out there and start running. No. You walk, run, and your body adjusts, right? And it worked for me. And so even when it finally came down, because I had to fit within a time frame, it was easy. I mean, because I could run it.
Yeah.
But I did have a TAC officer and his wife running next to me that said, "You're not stopping yet. It's time to walk." It is not time to walk. Just go to the tree. Just go here. Just
go to
go
the
here.
next landmark.
Yeah. And then what they did was, because I had heart surgery the first year of training, so second year, right? They were just kind of watching out for me, but I was fine. And I'm running when I get ready to cross the finish line, and they're all laughing and cheering, and I'm like, "What are you guys laughing?" I turn around and look, and the TAC officers were in a vehicle behind me with a defibrillator. They were not taking any chances, right?
Just in case.
Keep the old guy alive, right? You know, it's like, so what do you think? You thinking you could do something like that?
I probably could. Would I have the training time?
No. Because
that's the hugest part. I mean, when I did marathons, that's the biggest thing. Your biggest long run is 20 miles. So a marathon's 26.2. So you're almost running that just in training. It's like Brian was saying, he's up to 20 hours a week in training at the end. I don't know, unless I'm not going to sleep. I don't have 20 hours.
Yeah, there'd be no bread for anybody.
No. How can I work on Cheeto bread if I'm training?
Yeah. Well, I do think that's the part that you really have to have a dedication to do anything, because it's not just, I'm going to take the weekend off and go run this event.
No.
Right? It's, I'm going to live this lifestyle until I get all the way through.
And everywhere. I mean, you have to account for work and vacation, all of these things. You're now dodging lava tubes in Hawaii because you committed to an 18-mile run.
Well, I remember when we were first talking to Brian, and he said something about he was going to go to the store, and he thought, well, I'll run up to the store and use that as part of my training. Yeah. And it sounds funny because we say it all the time. I'm going to run up to the store.
Yeah.
He meant literally run up to the store.
Yeah.
It's like, so I could see where the time constraint would be, man, how do I make my normal life and all I do work in with this? And to me, that sounds like that's the most difficult.
Absolutely.
Is the training to get there.
Yeah.
Right?
And then the mentally having to overcome it day of, especially on something like, we're so used to electronics, right? Yep. We use it to entertain us all day, and to have to do a 13-hour run, swim, ride without music,
like you said,
or
you just hear the bikes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's like a rhythm.
Totally. Yeah. You'd be over there mixtaping it.
I would. I'd be like singing along, right? Yeah. Really amazing. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to have Brian back on, though. And we have a couple of guests like that we're going to bring back. They're doing something, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it is always finding people in the community that would be an encouragement to others because of their lifestyle, what they're deciding to do, how they're helping. When it really started with, doing the interviews on the radio. But I'm really appreciative of this because we get a chance, right, to find out the person behind it. Hopefully you find out we're not all that different, right? I mean, I'm not doing that competition. Before Brian leaves, I'm just going to steal a sticker and
I know.
Put it
You'll
on my cup, right? Yeah, you never know. He's got plenty, right? But I do think it's just encouraging. Other people can see that. We've got a couple of guests coming up that I'm real excited about. One is older and one is young. And both of them go contrary to how we think of ages doing what they do.
Yeah.
So they're going to be great interviews. So those are going to be coming up. I'm not going to give you names, but they're right around the corner. I will tell Kelly off camera.
Maybe. Sometimes he just likes to surprise me.
Yeah, I do. I do like to do that. But anyway, so listen, one more time, so thankful that you took the time to watch us. I hope you really enjoyed Brian's story. And we'll be waiting to see what kind of fallout there is once his wife finds out things. But for you, we're just saying, we just love you. We appreciate your husband, and we think you ought to run with him. That's our...
Yeah, we vote you run too.
We vote you run with him. But we're going to be back. We do this. We release these on Saturdays.
Saturday morning.
And they're available. And you can go back and watch other ones so you can get excited about the people that live in your community. I really think we should use the music,
These are the people
in your neighborhood. In your neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, why not? I'll
Yep.
get Kurt to work on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching, and really appreciate that you get a chance to do this. Leave us a comment, hit the subscribe, and the rest of it, as they say, is just a marathon.